High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new season of Overtime. I'm Scott Leber, and by now I'm sure you've seen this young lady on some of our newscasts, Regan Holgate. She's a rookie, but she plays like a seasoned veteran, folks, and we're glad to have you, Regan.
Thanks, Scott. There's not going to be any rookie hazing, though, right?
No, I think you're safe here for tonight. So.
All right. I'm looking forward to the season, and like you, I've spent a lot of time going to some practices the past 2 weeks, getting to know the players and coaches, and it all starts next Friday, opening night.
Yeah, that's right. So over these next few minutes, we're going to share some of what we've learned, and Tim Bailey will be joining us in a few minutes when we lock in on the Nick 10. But we'll cover all the local conferences. Now, the goal for teams every year is to make the playoffs and perhaps win a state championship, and we had 3 teams achieve that last year.
Yes, the BYRON Tigers were one of them. They blasted TOLON Unity 35-7 to win the 3A championship. Ethan Pauskill scored 3 touchdowns that night. That victory gave BYRON its 2nd state championship in football. And this one was especially sweet since the Tigers came up just short in 2018 and 2019.
It feels great, you know, just everything, just wrapping it all up, you know, everything that we've worked so hard for, battled for.
I don't think I'm going to be able to understand the full scope of it until years down the line.
I knew my boys were ready to go, I was ready to go, and we put this to sleep.
Yes, they did, Nick Brass. The Lena Winslow Panthers were another one of our state champions last year. They outscored Carrollton 38-25 to win the 1A crown. Mari Roby scored 3 touchdowns. Jake Zeal had a 60-yard touchdown run. That victory gave the Panthers their 3rd state championship in the last 5 years.
I'm extremely excited. This group has worked so hard. I'm on top of the world right now.
This group as a class, as a group, you know, they've just been tremendous all the way through. They've went about their business.
And our 3rd state champion last year was the Polo Marcos. They beat another local team in the championship game, the Orangeville Broncos, 12-7. It was a nail-biter. That victory capped off a 13-0 season for the Marcos.
It feels great. It was our goal the whole season. We had a ton of guys that worked hard to get this point, and I couldn't be prouder of the guys.
No, this has been a great group of kids to coach, and just so glad that we could give them a state championship.
Let's look ahead to next weekend and the opening schedule in the Nick 10. Belvidere will play at Guilford. Freeport will travel to Belvidere North. Auburn plays at Harlem. East will take on Boylan, and Hononegah will play at Jefferson. All of those games will be played on Saturday because of the official shortage.
Let's get into the Rockford Public School teams. We're going to start at Auburn, where the big news with the Knights is new head coach Willie TOLON. He was an assistant of Boylan the last 5 years, and he's making some changes. One is moving O'Shea Dismuke from quarterback to receiver. At least that's the plan. And Dismuke led the Nick 10 in passing yards last year. Junior Anthony Purifoy will start at quarterback now. Speed is the key word for the Knights. Seems everybody on this team has it.
I see us as a playoff team, and I need them to buy into that. And I'm preaching, and it seems like they're starting to get a hang of my idea of them and where I want us to be at.
Guilford is looking to rise up after going 2-7 last year. This will be Tony Capriotti's 2nd year as head coach. The Vikings return electric running back Javon Jones and some good size and experience on the lines.
We're returning pretty much our entire offensive line, and the ones that we have coming back that are replacing somebody rather are real good weight room kids that played a lot last year that rotated in.
Jefferson welcomes a strong sophomore class on the varsity squad. Prince Williams, Dontrell Ford, Tabari Kelly, and Blake Adrian are some of those sophomores. The Jayhawks have a new starting quarterback. Track and field standout Chauncey Jackson gets that job. He'll be throwing the rock to big receivers Randy Johnson and Ty Gaines. And senior Joe Alvarez should be one of the best linebackers in the conference.
Last year was last year. We had a lot of young guys and a lot of older guys. I mean, most of those guys have came back. So our journey is on a rise. One of the things we always talk about is rise up, because our time is now.
East has been stacking some good seasons together. The E-Rabs made the playoffs last year. Gary Griffin has some big guys on the lines this year to play his physical style. Freshman transfer Jabari Woods-Ellis might be the best. And of course, the E-Rabs have those 2 game breakers returning at running back Javius Catlin and Terrence Dotson. But Catlin is still trying to shake off a nasty ankle injury he suffered at summer camp. The hope is he'll be ready to go in a couple more weeks.
I tore some of my ligaments, and my bone, like my actual bone, it has 2 cracks in it. I didn't know that till I got the MRI back, and it has a crack straight through, but it's not all the way through. It's in the middle, straight, and then it has a little break on like the side.
All right, we want to welcome back to us Tim Bailey, our Nick 10 analyst, once again, former Nick 10 standout, college football standout, now the top trainer of Mercy Health Top Performers, who's worked with all the big athletes from the Rockford area. Good to have you back, Tim.
Appreciate being back.
And Tim, we want to get your thoughts on some of these teams we just mentioned. Let's start with Willie Tolan taking over at Auburn. What does he have to do in his first year to maybe get the Knights heading in the right direction again?
Well, it's a great hire, number one, over there at Auburn. I think Auburn did a great job of finding Coach Tolan. I know he was, looking at different opportunities here in the market, but landed at Auburn. I think it's going to be a really good fit for him. I think going forward, I think what he needs to do is, if he hasn't already done it, he's just set the tone, making sure the guys are ready to go each and every day, each and every week, and making sure the kids are eligible, making sure they're doing what they need to do in the classroom in order to be successful in the field. So he's going to establish that mentality and making sure the kids are ready to go each and every week. And Willie's a winner. If you know Willie, he's got a great resume. Auburn Nation is very fortunate to have him over there on their staff.
And Tony Capriati is in his second year at Guilford. Things almost go smoother in year 2 for the coaches. What is something, that him and his staff should maybe be expecting this year? Well,
I think Coach Cap has got his feet wet now. I mean, he's got that year 1 underneath his belt as a head coach. So I think he's gonna want more out of his athletes. I've been knowing Coach Cap for a while, and I know what he stands for. I know what he wants out of a program. He's added some different coaches that were former coaches in the Nick 10. Over there with him this year. So I think, Guilford's going to be that team that we're going to see over the next year, and pretty much this year also to make some good strides, building off what they did last year. So I think Guilford's in good hands.
Let's talk about the East E-Rabs. We heard Javius Catlin there describing his ankle injury. Sounds kind of nasty. He's still trying to work through it. If the E-Rabs have to go without him for a while, how do they get by? Can they get by without him?
Yeah, I think they can. Coach Griffin is always he always has something in the closet, so to speak. A good athlete in the closet. And I think, what we're going to see is some other kids step up during the time that Catlin's out. I wish Catlin a speedy recovery. Like to see him back out on the field, in the next couple weeks. I know that's asking a whole lot because he's still walking around in the boot, but I think East is going to really still be in good shape. Without him, if they have to be without him for 2 or 3 weeks, because the East, if you know anything about East, I call East RBU. They always have great running backs, and as long as you have great running backs, somebody to hand the ball off, and you have what they have up front, as you see in the offensive line here, the beef they have up front, I think East is going to be okay.
All right, Tim, we're going to bring you back a little bit later in the show, talk about some of the other Nick 10 teams, okay. All right?
Thank you.
Stick around. Up next, we are all in on the Big Northern Conference.
Welcome back. We focus on the Big Northern Conference now, and we start with the reigning 3A state champions, the BYRON Tigers. Reagan, you paid a visit to one of their practices.
I did get my first look at the Tigers, and what a run they've been on. The last 3 years that there have been playoffs, the Tigers have played for the state championship. They came up just short in 2018 and 2019 before winning big last year. Braden Smith is back for his 3rd year at the starting quarterback position. Kai Aiken will lead the running back group. Jake Kahn will be one of the key men on the lines. But the first thing Coach Jeff Boyer wanted his team to do was to forget about last year.
We've made it very clear that we're 0-0 right now.
We're just going to write our own legacy, and we're going to use last year as a whole new learning experience, which sounds weird, but we're going to use it as a learning experience to what we can do this year.
Well, Kingston's always a team to contend with in the Big Northern. The Cogs finished 2nd in the conference last year, and they went 3 games deep in the playoffs before losing to eventual state champion Joliet Catholic. And the Cogs have 4 starters back on both sides of the ball, including all-conference quarterback Nolan Perry and all-conference running back Ethan Wilnow.
Ethan Wilnow, we call him Jonesy on the team, and he, he's that switch that can just get flipped on, and it's cool to see just him with the ball in his hands and the vision that he has.
Stillman Valley is coming off an 8-win season that included a playoff victory. Cale Rauman is back to run the flexbone offense at quarterback. Fullback Jory Spain is also back. He was the biggest key for the Cardinals last year. He usually got the call when the Cardinals were in the red zone.
He's an incredible talent. He's very, very strong, and he breaks a lot of tackles. He's going to be very important for us this year.
Winnebago's looking to step it up this season. The Indians return one of the top quarterbacks in the conference in Alec Weevil. Tight end and middle linebacker William Speltz is back. He was first-team all-conference at linebacker last year. And keep your eye on junior running back Supreme Mohammed. He was the Big Northern Conference champion in the 100-meter dash this past spring. The Indians will be trying to get into the playoffs for the first time since 2017.
The Oregon Hawks have a new head coach in Brock Kundert. He had been the coach at Akwin. Things are already looking up for the Hawks. They have more than 70 kids in the program this year. They welcome to the varsity a strong sophomore class, which includes starting quarterback Jack Washburn. Oregon teams have always been known for their ground game, but look for the Hawks to pull the ball in the air a bit more this year.
The Lutheran Crusaders also have a new head coach, Jeff Ludke. He was an assistant coach at Lutheran during the Bruce Bazzali years. Those were the best years of Lutheran football when they were winning Big Northern championships and going deep in the playoffs with James Robinson. And the Crusaders have senior King Hughes back at quarterback. Junior halfback cornerback A.J. Moore will be another key player. Overall, though, the Crusaders are a very young team.
The North Boone Vikings are hoping for a big year. They only have 4 seniors, but one of them is quarterback Chandler Alderman. He led the Big Northern Conference in passing yards last year, and he threw 26 touchdown passes. The Vikings graduated one Dutch, Will. He was a heck of a player, but they return another one in Chris. He'll line up at running back, but he'll also be catching some passes.
He really has moved around. He started off at running back. He will probably play some receiver for us as well. So he's just a guy that you want to get the ball in his hands.
Rockford Christian will try to bounce back after going winless last season. The good news is the Royal Lions have 8 starters back on offense and 6 on defense. That experience can only help. They also returned talented quarterback Keon Leach. He showed good potential last year as a sophomore. Here are the Week 1 games in the Big Northern next Friday night. Byron plays at Stillman Valley, Dixon at Oregon, Genoa Kingston at Winnebago, Lutheran at North Boone, and Rock Falls at Rockford Christian. We're going to talk Northwest Upstate Illini football and 8-man football next.
Can DuPec defend its conference championship, and does Lena Winslow have another shot at going to state? There should be some epic battles in the Northwest Upstate Illini Conference again this year. There always seem to be some powerhouse teams in that conference, Scott.
Oh, yeah. You know, Lena Winslow won a state championship last year, but DuPec won the conference. And for the first time in 3 years, the Rivermen won't have Hunter Hoffman at quarterback, but they do have 2 capable guys ready to step in Hoffman's younger brother Cooper and senior Will Howard. Breon Green, Max Rossau, and Tyler Lucas should provide great line play, and A.J. Mulcahy right there could be a beast at running back and safety.
The expectations are just getting better and better. You know, obviously we have some things that have eluded us. You know, we like to get past that second round of the playoffs. Certainly when in conference last year, that's something that this team has set for a goal. But we also understand there's some teams in the way that we're going to have to play some really good football to get that done.
Lena Winslow lost a tremendous senior class, but the Panthers should be just fine. They have some serious talent returning in 2-way standout Gage Dunker, halfback Jack Zeal, lineman Henry Engel, and they've added halfback and linebacker Gunnar Lobdell, who transferred from Oregon. He put up some amazing stats there last year.
He's the ultimate competitor, incredible worker in the weight room, on the practice field. I think he really improved his speed in the offseason here, and I would look for Gunnar to have a great year.
Yeah, what a year he had at Orangeville last year. Now, Forreston will be trying to jump ahead of Lena Winslow and DuPec again. The Cardinals did knock off the Panthers last year in the regular season, but then they lost to DuPec. Now, Coach Janicki says his guys really got after it this summer.
These guys had the best summer imaginable, and I mean, and you can feel it when you're at practice, you're in the weight room, their team energy.
Dakota is getting a fresh start with new head coach Dan Sheets. He had been their defensive coordinator previously. Caden Niedermeyer is back for his 3rd year as the Indians' starting quarterback. 2 state champion wrestlers have also joined the team now, Phoenix Blakely and Noah Wenzel. Stockton is coming off a 3-6 season last year. Jace Phillips and Dustin Uppold will provide some leadership this year. The Blackhawks hope to surprise some people. They want to get back to playing winning football. Here are the Week 1 matchups in the NUIC. Forreston at Stockton, Galena at Fulton, EPC at Lena Winslow, West Carroll at DuPec, and Dakota at Christ the King. Now let's talk some 8-man football. The number of teams playing 8-man keeps expanding.
Yeah, now 8-man teams have been placed into 4 divisions in the state, 2 in the central part, 2 in the northern part of the state. And 4 local teams, they've been placed in the 8-player North Division 1. They're Ashton Franklin Center, Hiawatha, Christian Life, and South Beloit. Also in that division are Harvest Christian, Alden Hebron, and Prairie View Christian. The North 2 division has Amboy, Aquin, Millingeville, Orangeville, and Polo in it. River Ridge is also part of that division. So there are division championships now to fight for.
And there's a state championship to play for. Polo won it last year. As we saw earlier, the Marcos graduated some key players, most notably quarterback Tyler Murdian, but they bring back running backs Brock Salto, Brody Wolber, and Avery Grenoble. The goal is to win another title.
I mean, yeah, that's always going to be a goal. I think, you know, a lot of other teams have the same mindset, and it's going to be a great year, and I hope we can make it there again.
Well, the Aquin Bulldogs are entering their 2nd season of 8-man football, and they have a new head coach in Bill Shepard. He has previously been a head coach at Oregon, Rockford Christian, and Christian Life. And the Bulldogs won 6 games last year, and they made the playoffs. They'll be led by returning quarterback Aiden Wolf.
South Beloit will try to make the 8-man playoffs for the 2nd straight year. They had a solid 6-win season last year that included a playoff win. Coach Jim Morrow's team has 3 starters returning on both sides of the football. It's Morrow's 2nd season as the SOBOS head coach. He says they are further ahead of where they were last year at this time, and they have some explosive players at the skill positions.
Here's what week 1 of 8-man football looks like. Amboy will play at Polo, River Ridge at South Beloit, Christian Life at Hiawatha, West Central at Aquin, and Millingeville at Orangeville. Also, AFC will be playing at Harvest Christian. All right, we have more ground to cover in the Nick 10 next.
Tim Bailey will join us again with his take on Hononegah, Harlem, and Boylan. Last year was the year of the Hononegah Indians in the Nick 10.
Yeah, all they did was go 9-0. They have graduated 6 guys from their defense who earned all conference honors, but one thing Hononegah always has is depth. And some guys are more than ready to fill the holes left by graduation, like junior quarterback Cole Warren. He's the guy now. Slot back Isaiah Huey should be more of a playmaker now that Bryce Goodwine and Stuart Hale are gone. And Miles Schmidt returns at middle linebacker to lead the defense.
A hungry Harlem Husky team will take the field this year. They want more after winning 9 games last season and winning a playoff game for the first time since 2011. They've lost MVP Adrian Paulos, but they have starting quarterback Austin Redmond returning, plus some speed at the skill positions and some big bodies on the line, including KESHAWN HARRINGTON-MCKINNEY.
I've been working a lot more on footwork and hand placement and my moves off the line. So I feel like this year is more of a year of just really showing what I got on the line instead of just power.
Well, Boylan only has 4 starters back on offense and defense, but those 4 are outstanding, and the Titans have several more players who got valuable experience last year. Watch out for running backs Mackay Glover and Donovan Hansard. If they can stay healthy, look out. Mark Harris is a big play receiver, and junior Connor Dennis might be the best quarterback in the conference. He was huge last year.
We're hoping that he can still manage the football game and not turn the ball over. Again, we're not going to come out here 5 wide and become a passing team, even though we've got a veteran quarterback coming back. He understands he's a part of the balance as well.
Anthony Dedman's Freeport Pretzels are upbeat going into this season. They have one of the top quarterbacks in the area, returning in senior Xavion Segner. Overall, the Pretzels have more experience. Diedrich Macon, Ryan Kuhn, and Denarius Jackson were super sophomores last year. Now they are ready to step it up as juniors.
Watch out for Belvidere North again this year. Jeff Beck's guys are always competitive. They have a potentially explosive offensive backfield with returning running backs Nico Bertolino and Joseph Brown. Both are juniors, both are speedsters on the track team. Max Gillenswan takes over at quarterback, and Nick Winters will be one of the Blue Thunder's leaders on defense at linebacker.
Belvidere won 2 games last year. Things should be improved since it's year 2 for head coach Tony Ambrosio. His guys are more familiar now with his system. Ambrosio says the Bucks might not have all the tools that they need yet, but they're going to give it their all. Tim Bailey joins us once again. Let's start with Hononegah. The Indians lost a lot of talent from last year. Do they have enough coming back to maybe win conference again?
I think they do. I mean, you know, they lost some studs offensively. I think, with some key players that are back this year, and Huey and then Warren, I think offensively they're going to be fine. I don't think Hononegah Nation needs to get, worried about anything. I think they're going to do what they need to do offensively. They're going to be Hononegah. I think defensively they're going to do some things well also too. So I think Hononegah is going to definitely be a top 2, top 3 team in the conference that we'll see this year.
Harlem has made big strides on defense the last couple of years, and that's taken them to another level, I think. So what are going to be some of the keys for the Huskies this year?
I think really just, coming out and just really establishing themselves right away, offensively and defensively. I mean, we know what they have on defense and we know what they have on offense, but, just because you know what you have offensively and defensively doesn't mean that that product's going to show up every Friday night. But if those guys come out and they show up every Friday night, I think Harlem's going to be that top 2, top 3 team that we're going to be talking about in midweek and also too at the end of the season.
And now let's get your take on Boylan. And there's a lot to like about the Titans.
A lot. Coach Cat's story's got to be sleeping well. With the roster that he has. I mean, he's got a bevy of playmakers on offense. He's got some guys on defense that can actually go, east and west, fly to the sideline, fly to the ball when they need to. You got Glover coming back at running back, and then you had Hansford coming back from his injury that he had last year. And then you got Connor Dennis. I mean, again, with the weaponry that Boylan has, I don't really see anybody in the Nick 10 beating these guys. Yeah, you may play with them, but Boylan should go 9-0. And that's saying a lot. I know that's saying a lot. But right. I know I may
recorded.
I know I may receive a lot of flack for that, but I'm on here live giving my true assessment. And,
that's what we want.
And that's just what I feel. I think they have enough depth and they have enough weaponry in their, both offensively and defensively to really make a 9-0 run this year.
All right. Thanks, Tim. We'll see you next week. We'll be right back.